Tonight, a massive worldwide computer outage cripples U.S. hospitals, banks, and airlines.
I guess I'm just going to go back home. Like, it's canceled. I'm just going to have to rebook.
Taking the blame, CrowdStrike, a global cybersecurity firm that provides corporations and governments with critical software to protect computer systems and data from hackers. CrowdStrike, though, says it wasn't a security or cyber incident that took Microsoft apps and services offline, but a faulty software update. We'll have the latest. Plus,
I think our president is weighing what he should weigh, which is who is the best candidate to win in November.
More congressional Democrats now calling on President Biden to drop out of the race. The president, recovering from COVID, remaining defiant, saying he'll be back on the campaign trail next week in order to, quote, expose the threat of Donald Trump's agenda. Now, Donald Trump himself speaking for more than 90 minutes at last night's Republican National Convention, laying out what a second Trump term might look like. And new pictures of the man who tried to assassinate former President Trump. Taken nearly an hour before those shots were fired, the images captured by police snipers themselves. A new timeline tonight looks at the missed opportunities to potentially apprehend the suspect or to stop the former president from taking the stage in the first place. Good evening, everyone. I'm Trevor Ault in for Linsey Davis. Thank you so much for streaming with us. We're following all those stories and much more, including Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gerskovich, sentenced today to 16 years in a Russian penal colony. The Russians offering no public proof as he's convicted of espionage with his trial kept a secret. Plus, Wisconsin dairy farmers telling us why they're feeling left out of this year's election, even though their conservative cohort could swing the critical battleground states. And the documentarian who spent months with the Taliban after the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan, how he says they addressed the cameras and how he got them to drop their guard. But we begin with the global chaos today after what appears to be the largest cyber meltdown in history. Passengers grounded at the airport in Atlanta, one of the most affected, and nationwide more than 10,000 flights canceled or delayed. Some 911 services interrupted, some hospitals canceling elective surgeries. FedEx is reporting disruptions, and TD Bank is having trouble as well. And tonight, the company taking the blame, CrowdStrike, is reassuring the public the outage was not due to a cyber attack, saying they are scrambling to get everyone back online. But the scope of the disruptions, a stark reminder of how dependent we are on these systems. And we have an expert standing by to break it down. But first, ABC's Ariel Reshef is at LaGuardia Airport here in New York.
Tonight, computer chaos from coast to coast and around the world. Tens of thousands of flights canceled and delayed after what many are calling the largest global IT outage in history. 911 systems, hospitals, banks, courts, and especially airports practically brought to a standstill.
That screen is not normal.
Information displays at American airports showing that so-called blue screen of death error message. You can see the crowds have swelled here at LaGuardia. They're making announcements, trying to get people onto their flights. Many people frustrated and simply searching for answers about when they may take off.
It's unheard of. It's shocking. I didn't think this could happen, but I guess anything's possible.
Luggage piled high at LAX. Stranded travelers packing airports in Madrid and Dubai. Some airlines resorting to handwritten boarding passes. The massive meltdown happening overnight after CrowdStrike, the world's second largest cybersecurity company, says it issued a routine Microsoft Windows software update, but that update had a bug in it that rendered computers useless. It even affected shipping, causing traffic jams at ports in Newark and in Los Angeles. The Department of Homeland Security reporting delays for patients at hospitals. The outage hit 911 systems in multiple states, officials advising people with emergencies to call their local police or fire department directly. The outage affecting point-of-sale systems at Starbucks and grocery stores. CrowdStrike deploying a fix around 5:30 a.m. Eastern Time. CEO George Kurtz apologizing.
We're deeply sorry for the impact that we've caused to customers, to travelers, to anyone affected by this, including our companies.
But the damage was already done. And while he stressed that this was not conducted by a bad actor, many pointing out that CrowdStrike, a company meant to prevent cyber attacks, essentially created a massive, if unintentional, cyber attack.
The more interconnected we are, when it comes to travel and medical care and emergency services and military, the more vulnerable we are to this type of threat. It is something we should take extremely serious.
Just staggering how many areas were impacted here, maybe nowhere more than the airports. And Ariel's with us now from LaGuardia. So Ariel, have we heard anything from CrowdStrike on just how long this could last?
Well, Trevor, you can see that this airport is pretty empty, especially for a Friday, as it seems that passengers have heeded the guidance of the airlines to stay home, check cancellations and delays before heading to the airport. As for CrowdStrike, the CEO saying it could be some time before systems are fully back online. And in the meantime, the company is warning that malicious actors could look to take advantage of this situation, so they are urging their customers to stay vigilant. Trevor?
Okay, important warning. Ariel Resha, thank you. And we want to dive a little bit deeper as to how exactly this happened. So we want to bring in now cybersecurity expert Bo Woods, the founder and the CEO of Stratego Security. Bo, thanks so much for joining with us. A lot of people aren't going to know what CrowdStrike is, or what it does, or how this is even possible. So can you explain all of that?
Yeah, absolutely. So as you said earlier, this was a single flaw in a single line of code in a single software package deployed around the world in tens of millions of computers. And a deployed software update caused issues with those computers to cause them to shut down. That caused certain services to go offline, like airline reservations, like air traffic control, like shipping and logistics, and like life-saving services at hospitals as well.
And literally one line of code is all it took for this to happen?
One line of code. And we have billions of lines of code,
right,
and billions of computers around the world.
I mean, in that sense, it makes me surprised it hasn't happened before. Is this something that we needed to be prepared for?
Well, I mean, it's increasing in prevalence. We've seen similar types of issues with like the Change Healthcare. In that case, it was an adversary, but we've seen other outages and other downtimes of systems. Just nothing, I don't believe, that's been this large, this widespread, and that will take this long to recover from.
It does sound, if it's one line, that seems like it would be an easy fix. So I guess what is taking so long to get it fixed?
Yeah, well, the fix in this case requires several steps that may take minutes, but in the aggregate, over those tens of millions of computers, that can take millions of hours of work effort put in by the people who are working in those situations. And it really underscores our need to think about resilience beyond just cyber resilience, the resilience of the computers, but how do we operate in situations where we can't depend on those computers to be up and running in these critical infrastructure areas, transportation, healthcare, banking and finance, and others.
So do we need to reconsider how much we rely on these things moving forward? I mean, what do we do to prevent something like this happening in the future?
Yeah, I think we need to look at other approaches. You know, as we increasingly have associated costs, we need to re-examine the accountability, liability, and responsibility across the supply chain and chain of operations. When a single supply chain link can take out a whole system, like healthcare or others, we need to understand what those impacts are like, who is in the best position to be able to head those off, and then put the responsibility on them to take the necessary actions so that we can avoid these billions of dollars in outages and millions of hours of downtime sitting at the airport.
Right, yeah, and there certainly was that. To be clear, though, just real quick, though, Bo, it sounds like that's big picture thinking. In the short term, they know how to fix it. Now it's just a matter of doing it. They're not trying to solve it still. They know what it is.
Yes, that's what it sounds like from their information, and the software updates that they're able to push out now hopefully can address those things.
Okay. Bo Woods, Stratego Security founder, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. Definitely been a wild day for you and for a lot of the country. Next tonight, new calls for President Biden to end his bid for re-election. But the president, who is recovering from COVID at his home in Delaware on the beach there, he remains publicly defiant. He is vowing to return to the campaign trail next week, while behind the scenes, he may be listening to his critics. ABC's Selena Wang is in Delaware tonight.
On a day when more than a dozen additional Democrats in Congress called on him to drop out of the race, tonight President Biden announcing, "I look forward to getting back on the campaign trail next week." The White House doctor saying Biden's COVID symptoms have improved meaningfully.
Absolutely, the president's in this race. You've heard him say that time and time again.
The president's defiance only fueling anxiety within his own party. Sources tell us Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, and former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi have all told Biden he'll lose to Trump and drag down Democrats in Congress. They haven't said so publicly, at least not yet.
Right now, we've got the Biden-Harris ticket, and that's a ticket that we're going to support.
Sources say Pelosi privately told worried colleagues that pressure could push Biden to drop out soon. And today, 11 House Democrats calling on Biden to quit the race, including Zoe Lofgren of California, a close Pelosi ally who served on the January 6th committee. In a letter to the president, Lofgren blunt, writing, "Simply put, your candidacy is on a trajectory to lose the White House and potentially impact crucial House and Senate races down ballot. Our country will pay a dreadful price." And tonight, Congressman Seth Moulton of Massachusetts describing a diminished Biden. In a Boston Globe op-ed, Moulton calling the president a mentor and a friend, someone he's had meals with and phone calls, but Moulton writing that when he saw Biden last month, for the first time, he didn't seem to recognize me. One of the president's closest Senate allies, Chris Coons of Delaware, says Biden is listening.
I am confident he is hearing what he needs to hear.
And sources tell ABC News Biden is now open to discussions about whether to drop out.
And Selena joins us now from Delaware. Selena, of course, as all this is happening, we've also been hearing reports of major donors that are pulling their support from Biden. So what's the latest there?
Yeah, Trevor, well, fundraising is drying up. And today, the vice president joined a call with some of the campaign's biggest donors, trying to shore up support and confidence in the president. But I'm told, Trevor, that this did not go well. A source on the call tells me that some of the donors were furious because they want President Biden to drop out of this race and feel like they didn't have a chance to share their views. Trevor?
Does seem like more bad news every day. Selena Wang, thank you. And joining us now for more on this is Cristina Tzintzún Ramirez, a Democratic strategist and the president of Next Gen America. She's here to talk more about the future of the Democratic Party. So, Cristina, Senator Sherrod Brown of Ohio and Congressman Morgan McGarvey of Kentucky, they're the latest Democrats to call on President Biden to step aside as the Democratic presidential nominee. We obviously now, heading into the DNC, have that split. Some people who want the president to step aside, some that don't. Is the fact that there's no unity there a big concern?
Well, I mean, we are very close to the convention. I think people really are concerned and see the threat that Donald Trump poses. President Biden is a popular president because of what he has delivered. And there's still going to be division within the party about figuring out the best path forward. But ultimately, it is up to President Biden to decide whether he moves forwards or steps down. But I think those calls may continue to grow because there are concerns that many feel haven't been answered about how he would move forward to defeat Donald Trump.
And to be clear, not everyone is speaking out against President Biden. Senator Chris Coons of Delaware, he's a close ally of the president. He put out a strong message of support. He says, quote, I fully support the president. He's told me he's in it to win it. I'm with him 100% because I know he can beat Trump just like he did last time. Do you expect we're also going to see more people speaking out in favor of the president just to try to shore up that unity ahead of the DNC?
Well, there's a lot of folks that have not come out and said that they would want him to step down. He continues to have the majority of the support within the Senate and Congress publicly. Ultimately, I think whatever happens, Democrats will coalesce around the Democratic candidate. And that's why we haven't actually seen polls move that much post-debate, even though it was a very poor debate performance, even in the president's own eyes and words. And so the reason that is because we have such a strong number of Americans that are firmly against Donald Trump and firmly support him. And so whoever the Democratic nominee is, Democrats will support that candidate. There are a few undecided voters and a few voters that need to be motivated to turn out and vote. And that's really the question here. Which Democratic candidate can reach those few percentage of voters that are really critical to determining this election?
So we have heard from sources, Christina, that the Biden campaign held an all-staff call today trying to boost morale. Where do you think their focus is right now?
We're hearing different things. We're hearing conversations within the internal circle being released by the New York Times. It's a little like whiplash if you're like me and I read the paper every few hours at this point to see what's unfolding. That a few hours you're hearing that President Biden may come out this weekend and say that he's stepping down, and then a few hours later saying they're going to be hitting the campaign trail and making sure they're reaching voters as early as next week. So we don't know, but one thing's for sure is if President Biden hasn't made up his mind or if he's going to stay in the race, of course, they want to increase morale with their team, be focused on defeating Donald Trump, and make sure people have the information, the energy, and the motivation to win this race.
What do you think are going to be the key points of Democrats' counter messaging heading into their convention now that we've seen what happened at the RNC?
Well, I think that there's I watched the RNC. It was a vision of a country that I don't see, a country that is in total desperation and free fall, and a really dystopian vision of our country. And so I think what you're going to hear from Democrats going in to their own convention is the vision they have for a country. I think it's also going to look wildly different than the Democratic convention. It's going to be much more diverse, much more speaking to the hope of the country and what we can achieve together, and I think a lot less divisive.
All right, Cristina Sinsun Ramirez, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks so much.
Meantime, former President Trump will be hitting the campaign trail on Saturday, and for the first time, he will be alongside his vice presidential pick, J.D. Vance. It follows his acceptance speech at last night's Republican National Convention. It went on for more than 92 minutes. It was the longest in U.S. political history. Now, Trump had said his close brush with an assassin's bullet had changed him, though halfway through the speech, he did revert to some familiar themes. And Chief Washington correspondent John Carl has more.
After a convention that celebrated all things Trump, the former president is preparing to hit the road with his newly minted running mate, J.D. Vance. Their first stop, the key state of Michigan. The former president had told me that Saturday's assassination attempt had changed him, that his convention speech would be a unifying one. For the first 20 minutes or so, it seemed that way.
I'm not supposed to be here tonight. Not supposed to be here.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Thank you. But I'm not. And I'll tell you, I stand before you in this arena only by the grace of Almighty God.
The campaign told us that Trump wouldn't even mention Joe Biden's name. But Trump strayed dramatically from his prepared speech, mentioning Biden and slamming his political opponents.
If you took the 10 worst presidents in the history of the United States, think of it, the 10 worst, added them up, they will not have done the damage that Biden has done. Only going to use the term once. Biden. I'm not going to use the name anymore, just one time. The damage that he's done to this country is unthinkable. It's unthinkable.
The final night of the convention, a macho display of Trumpism. Hulk Hogan.
Trumpomania! Run wild, brother!
It also featured harsh anti-immigrant rhetoric and extreme policy proposals, including calling for a massive military-aided effort to deport millions of people.
Hulk Hogan and Kid Rock getting prominent stage time. All right, John Carl joins us now. So, John, we are hearing about a call between former President Trump and Ukraine's President Zelensky. What do we know about that?
Yeah, our colleague Martha Raddatz learned the call happened today. It lasted about 15 or 20 minutes. We are told that the call was initiated by Zelensky, and a source close to Zelensky described it as, quote, warm and respectful. Clearly, Zelensky is concerned about what could happen if you have a Trump administration, want to make sure that he would have a good relationship regardless of who wins this election.
And definitely interesting, given some of the conservative stances toward Ukraine. John Carl for us. John, thank you.
Absolutely.
Now to the new images in the investigation into the attempted assassination of former President Trump. They show this suspect was on the radar of local police snipers an hour before he opened fire. Now, this all comes as a fire truck today led the funeral procession for Corey Compantori, the firefighter killed at the rally. Chief Justice correspondent Pierre Thomas has the latest.
These are the new images law enforcement took that helped set off a search for Thomas Matthew Crooks, less than an hour before he tried to assassinate Donald Trump. Local police snipers taking the pictures at 5:14 p.m. Saturday, 58 minutes before Crooks opened fire. In this image, you see him with his cell phone. 14 minutes later at 5:28, police taking this picture of what authorities believe is Crooks's bike. With it, a backpack and duffel bag. 5:32. A sniper spotting Crooks looking at news feeds on his phone, noticing he had a rangefinder, a device used to determine distances to targets. That sniper flagging the suspicious activity in a group text, receiving a response to call into command. At 5:41, that sniper sending out a description of Crooks, lurking around the building. Around 6 p.m., 20 minutes later, local police asking where the suspect was headed. At 6:05, Crooks was then spotted near picnic tables carrying a backpack. Then at 6:06, the sniper who first noticed Crooks leaving his position, meeting patrol officers, telling them the suspect was near the building. He's going down! 6 minutes later, at 6:12, shots fired. What's still not clear tonight is whether local authorities alerted the Secret Service commanders on site. After Crooks was killed, police finding his cell phone and a gray transmitter near his body, which authorities say Crooks intended to use to remotely set off explosives in his car. Sources say Crooks had information on his devices about Michigan school shooter Ethan Crumbley and his parents, as well as information about how to make bombs. Crooks also had images of former President Trump, President Biden, as well as Attorney General Garland and FBI Director Wray. Authorities finding evidence the killer actively searched the date of Trump's rally in Butler. And today, a somber service just 10 miles away from the site of the rally for Fire Chief Corey Comparatore, shot and killed Saturday. Thousands paying tribute to the beloved veteran, husband, and father. So many grieving today for the man who lost his life. Sources telling ABC News Crooks may have come to the site of the rally on July 7th, 6 days before the shooting. Trevor?
All right, Pierre Thomas tonight. Pierre, thank you. And heading overseas now in Israel, a rare and deadly drone strike in the heart of Tel Aviv, near the U.S. Embassy office there. This low-flying drone penetrated Israel's defenses. It shattered windows, striking an apartment building, killing one person and injuring at least 10 others. Iranian-backed Houthi militants in Yemen have claimed responsibility. And in Russia, Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich has been convicted of espionage after a 3-day trial that was held behind closed doors. But tonight, the one ray of hope that the verdict could open the door to a prisoner swap. Here's ABC's foreign correspondent James Longman.
Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich today sentenced to 16 years in a Russian penal colony for what the U.S. government calls fabricated charges of espionage. The 32-year-old, who denies any wrongdoing, appearing calm. Then, a brave moment of protest. Someone shouting, "Evan, we love you," as he turned around to wave and quickly left the courtroom. In a statement, the Wall Street Journal saying Evan has spent 478 days in prison, wrongfully detained, away from his family and friends, prevented from reporting, all for doing his job as a journalist.
This is a sham trial, sham proceedings, sham charges.
Evan was on assignment when he was detained and accused of passing information to the CIA. He's the first American journalist arrested for spying in Russia since the Cold War. The Russians offered no public proof, instead holding a secret trial over just 3 days. The speedy proceedings could pave the way for a prisoner swap. Russian officials said such a deal would only come after a verdict. Tonight, the White House says the president is laser-focused on securing Evan's release.
This is something the president will not rest until we get him home.
Trevor, the president said today there is no higher priority than the safe return of Evan, of Paul Whelan and other Americans who have been wrongfully detained. As for Evan, he has 2 weeks to appeal. After that, he will be sent to that maximum security penal colony. Trevor?
James Longman for us. James, thank you. And we still have much more to get to here on Prime. Coming up on the heels of the Republican convention in the swing state of Wisconsin this week, our Kana Whitworth is talking with dairy farmers about their priorities this November. But next, the 1970s Broadway sensation that kicked down barriers. Now it's back in the spotlight. Our DeMarco Morgan has our Prime focus.
What can viewers expect to see? I mean, it's a little hip-hop, jazz, gospel.
Yes. Yeah. And my songs are strictly musical theater, but our musical arranger and vocal arranger have really taken this show out of the 70s and made a fresh spin with our music.
If you were coming of age in the 1980s, the Brat Pack was near the center of your cultural awareness. But for those of us experiencing it from the inside, the Brat Pack was something very different. On June 10th, 1985, New York Magazine published Hollywood's Brat Pack. I just remember seeing that cover and thinking, oh. From then on, my career and the career of everyone who was involved was branded to the Brat Pack.
I'm really sorry that article had to come out.
I've never talked to anybody about what that was like. So I thought it might be interesting to try and contact everyone who is in the Brat Pack. Hey, Emilio Estevez. This is Andrew McCarthy calling you. Hey, Allie. Hey, Demi. Hey, Molly. Let's call Rob. Hello? Judd? Me? You around? You were not interested in talking about the Brat Pack for years.
I turned everything down.
How come you're talking to me?
Because you called me. It was time that we clear the air on a couple of things.
I love your stuff, Bob. Hey, thank you. I hated the Brat Pack for decades. What a disaster. If you could have the Brat Pack name not exist, would you?
It really irritated me. They said, what's more important to you, the movie or your life? And I said,
the movie!
Andrew.
Have you talked to the others? The others, like, again, it feels like a cult or something.
Yeah. Why did we take it as an offense?
Well,
as opposed to like
the brat.
Because we were young.
We were afraid we were brats, you know? Are you in the Brat Pack?
I'm Brat Pack adjacent.
That's what I was saying.
I am not in the Brat Pack.
Crush on you back in the day?
You did not, Andrew. No, you did not.
Being in the Brat Pack not only changed all of our lives, it changed what entertainment is. I mean, I'm not going to say we were the Beatles or anything.
Well, we didn't fill Shea Stadium. There were moments.
We could have. 1985, I think we could have.
So what are you filming?
Oh, we're just doing this documentary.
What's it about?
Ancient history.
Hey, good morning, America.
Good morning, America.
Good morning, America.
Is some kind of a bold demon here.
Somebody is killing young black women.
The fear was just insane.
I was not gonna stop until I found out who did this.
He knew all of his victims. He portrayed himself as a good friend.
Now tonight, the prison interview with the killer.
Once I touched him, it's over.
And the first interview with the only surviving victim. 2020, tonight on ABC.
You're streaming ABC News Live Prime, and The Wiz is back. Nearly half a century after the original kicked down barriers with its all-black cast, it eased on down the road all the way to the Tonys, and then a film starring Diana Ross and Michael Jackson. And this new Broadway production infuses the original with modern choreography and energy. Here's DeMarco Morgan.
He's on down, he's on down the road. Come on, he's on down, he's on down the road.
I think they created a legacy that has brought together a nation. I think we needed this musical back then, we need it now, and I think we'll need it for a very long time.
An iconic cast of characters is easing on down the road again.
Our audiences will come and say, my aunt brought me, so now I'm bringing my nieces and nephews.
Bringing the magic of The Wiz back to Broadway. This time led by newcomer Nichelle Lewis.
You're only 24 and you're rocking the house, the entire theater.
Thank you.
Where did that voice come from?
I always say it came from God. I always feel like it was just a gift that was given to me.
Her natural talent leading to her Broadway debut and a story close to her heart.
Growing up, I knew all the songs.
Nichelle's Dorothy is keeping the legacy alive 50 years after the groundbreaking musical, The Wiz, the Super Soul musical Wizard of Oz, first exploded onto the scene. The entirely black cast debuting an updated take on the classic tale of the wonderful Wizard of Oz, featuring songs with a soulful spin on the Great White Way.
He's on down, he's on down the road. Come on, he's on down, he's on down the road.
The production earned 7 Tony Awards.
The winner is The Wiz.
But it would be its adaptation to the silver screen in 1978 that would cement its enduring place in American culture. The cast of The Wiz, starring legends like Diana Ross as Dorothy, Michael Jackson as the Scarecrow,
If I only had a brain, I would have figured that out a long time ago.
and Richard Pryor as the Wiz.
The Great Oz!
House has decided not to grant any of your wishes.
I fell in love with the movie. I was in love with Diana Ross and Michael Jackson, Richard Pryor. Oh my God. We would play it over and over and over again.
Alan Mingo Jr. takes on this production's title character of The Wiz.
The Wizard of Oz, where it came from, is one of the biggest folklores in America. You see a lion and a Tin Man, the Scarecrow, you kind of know what the characters are. Now you're listening on how we made our character. So I feel like our audience come in a little educated. But for me, it's about finding your community to help lead your path. And you may get disappointed away, but you got to keep going. And you can't believe everyone who crosses your path. There always be roadblocks. And so for me, The Wiz is about that. But to me, it's no different than the other versions of this wonderful story.
This latest production updated the dialogue and music to keep up with the time.
The director was like, we don't want him to be mean or intimidating the same way as, that we're used to. We want to do a new spin. And that allowed me to breathe new life and to add my own sort of charm, my own version of, I call The Wiz now like a black crazy Willy Wonka, in a way,
That's a good description.
Yeah.
What can viewers expect to see? I mean, it's a little hip hop, jazz, gospel.
Yes. My songs are strictly musical theater, but our musical arranger and vocal arranger have really taken this show out of the 70s and made a fresh spin with our music. It still sounds familiar. The songs are those still songs you heard back then, except it's not grounded in the 70s anymore. It's grounded in today.
And when was the first time that you had heard of The Wiz, watched the movie?
Ooh, I feel like it's been in my life. It's just been there. And I don't even remember the first time I watched it or the first time I heard it. I just remember always knowing it. Maybe that's for a lot of people of color. I've just always known it.
The show was invited to audition after producers came across this TikTok video of her singing Home, an iconic song from the musical.
I've never really liked social media, but when I saw other people putting themselves out there in a way that seemed genuine, I said, maybe this is something that I can do. I can share my story, and I can use this as a way to connect with other people.
Nichelle started singing after losing her father to cancer when she was just 10 years old.
It was a struggle for me. Things happen and you go throughout your life and you think you can handle it, and it's like 4 years later that you might feel this rush of emotions for what happened. For me, it's important to remember those, times when I was low, because it keeps me humbled and grounded, but it also keeps me strong in a way. If he can go through that and still try to bring joy to someone else, then so can I.
The same song that led her to being cast has been sung by icons like Stephanie Mills and Diana Ross.
Three names: Diana Ross, Stephanie Mills, Nichelle Lewis.
Ooh.
That's good company to be in.
I guess so. Yes. It is so cool to be amongst them. I mean, they are living legends.
And the song, does it mean something to you every time you sing it?
Home means a lot to me. Home is like the story of my life. It is the journey of realizing you've had the strength all along and how to put that into motion.
With every performance of The Wiz, Nichelle and Alan say they hope to inspire the next generation of young viewers.
I feel like in musical theater, there's not many opportunities to see Black joy on stage. And it's important because Black people should see this and see that they can do things like musical theater.
And how does it feel to look in the audience and you see young, old, Black, white, just about everybody represented?
Yeah, it's amazing. For me, I want young brown kids to see what I saw in this show. This is what made me do what I do. But to see kids of all races and colors, I hope they see the same thing.
Down the road.
Our thanks to DeMarco Morgan for that report. And still ahead here on Prime, tomatoes in January, avocados in New York, ice cream anywhere, anytime. We're going to take a deep dive into how all this became possible, but also the consequences of refrigeration. Plus, for many voters, the economy is a top issue, and both President Biden and former President Trump claim they had the answers. So we're taking a look at their records by the numbers.
What does it take to be the most watched newscast in America?
An operation to capture ISIS fighters.
Is this our Combat Operations Center?
We're approaching the gate now. Militants came in from 4 or 5 different directions.
Operational nuclear reactor.
So you have a couple loaded and ready to go. The house is destroyed, but the flag, there's not a tear in it.
Not a tear in it.
How important is this label right here, Made in the USA? Look at your smile. You're proud of this.
I love this.
Great work.
Hi.
Where are you? Where are you?
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
David, good to meet you.
Ismail? David.
David.
Yes, yes. I'm David Muir.
I know who you are.
You
I watch
do?
you every night.
ABC's World News Tonight with David Muir is America's most watched newscast. Whenever news breaks,
We are here in Israel, a nation at war.
In Rolling Fork, this tornado tore through this town.
From Lewiston, Maine.
The scene of a horrific mass shooting.
From the scene of that deadly missile strike.
ABC News Live everywhere.
In Iceland, let's go.
On the 2024 campaign trail.
Here at 10 Downing Street.
Wherever the story is.
We're going to take you there.
You're streaming ABC News Live.
ABC News Live.
You're streaming ABC News Live.
ABC News Live, streaming free everywhere.
They call him the Beauty Queen Killer. He's targeting young women in malls.
I am single. I want to join the company of a number of women.
He tortured me.
How did she survive 9 days of terror?
The word accomplice came up. Nobody knows the real story.
The Beauty Queen Killer, only on Hulu.
First thing in the morning.
There's a lot going on.
We're still in a flash flood warning.
To catch you up with what happened overnight. Police in riot gear arresting dozens of protesters.
What's happening today? Escalating tensions in the Middle East.
What people are talking about. The migrant crisis.
Fast, straightforward.
With some fun in between.
Check out the Gator on the 17th hole.
The buzzkill in baseball.
First thing in the morning.
America This Morning.
America's #1 early morning news.
On ABC News Live.
Why do so many people start their day here?
From ABC News, this is Start Here.
To be in the know and get a different take on the day's top stories.
A lot of news today, so let's get into it.
Listen now to the Daily News Podcast honored with 4 Edward R. Murrow Awards and see why the New York Times calls it a news podcast worth listening to. Start Here, ABC News. Make it your daily first listen.
Now, that's a part of the story I bet you didn't see coming.
Wherever you get your podcasts, start here.
Here's to good mornings in America.
Can you feel the love?
Oh, yeah.
Mornings that inspire, filled with hope, kindness, joyous surprises, and so much fun.
This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy.
Start your day with Good Morning America's ray of sunshine, highlighting the best of America and helping
make dreams come true.
Wow. I'm just so happy. It's so good.
Get ready to smile and put the good into your morning, America, because
You know what will make the morning better? A little ray of sunshine.
Reporting from the Normandy coast for the 80th anniversary of D-Day, I'm David Muir. Wherever the story is, we'll take you there. You're streaming ABC News Live.
This week's Republican National Convention spent quite a bit of time focusing on the economy. But what do the numbers say? Well, we take a look tonight by the numbers. Gross domestic product, the comprehensive measure of the nation's economic activity, grew at an annualized rate of 2.7% during Donald Trump's first 3 years as president. That is compared to 3.5% under President Biden's first 3 years, according to a Forbes analysis. Now, as of May, the Dow was up 28% since Biden's inauguration. If you look at Trump's term, after the economy took a nosedive during the COVID-19 pandemic, the Dow still ultimately finished up 57%. Inflation is up 19.9% over the first 41 months of Biden's term, compared to just 5.4% during the same time under Trump, based on the government's consumer price index. But wages have also gone up during Biden's administration. That outpaced inflation, actually, by 2.8%. And most other advanced economies, including Germany, Canada, France, Japan, the UK, they've all experienced negative real wage growth in recent years. Now, the unemployment rate stood at 4.1% last month, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. You can compare that to 6.3% when Trump left office, but you do have to remember the country was still in the throes of COVID-19 at the time. And we still have much more ahead here on Prime. We have an update on the new pandas at the San Diego Zoo, including the latest images of the pair getting comfortable in their new home. And I'm also talking with a journalist and a filmmaker who spent the better part of a year with the Taliban, and he filmed that experience. We'll tell you what he witnessed.
Whenever, wherever news breaks, it's so important to always remember that lives are changed.
Here in London, in Buffalo, Uvalde, Texas,
Edinburgh, Scotland, from Poland once again tonight. Thank you so much for streaming with us. Ukrainian refugees here in Warsaw.
Do you think you'll ever be able to go back home? We're heading to a small community outside of Mexico City.
Splintered houses and splintered lives. The magnitude of the devastation. You're streaming ABC News Live. Reporting from Rolling Fork, Mississippi. Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Raleigh, North Carolina.
The U.S. Capitol.
Mayfield, Kentucky.
Minneapolis.
Mexico. Tongass National Forest, Alaska.
Getting you behind the stories as they happen, giving you a front row seat to our world as it plays out in real time, live.
ABC News Live Prime. We'll take you there.
Stream ABC News Live weeknights, America's most honored streaming news program, only on ABC News Live. Streaming free right now wherever you stream your news.
Betrayal is one of the hardest types of trauma to overcome.
This is her knight in shining armor.
Everything felt right. All of a sudden, I found this hidden folder. I opened it. I don't think I can say it. I'm sorry. It's shocking. My stomach just dropped. He just really didn't think I had it in me to do something. So I did.
Betrayal, a Father's Secret, the all-new season on Hulu.
All right, let the dogs out, please.
I don't think he's gonna give you a hard time.
Even if he gives me a hard time, I'm the right guy. I want to make sure that we all learn together.
Calm, confident.
Calm, confident, calm, surrender.
Everything that he's taught has become a reality.
Yeah.
We are so grateful and impressed.
I feel like crying.
You changed our world.
It is a beautiful thing to see. As you rehabilitate the dog, you also rehabilitate you.
It's lunchtime in America, so what are we serving up?
Well, how about everything you need to know?
Give it to me. Your health, your money, breaking news, pop culture, with the biggest stars, music, trends, and of course, good food.
It's all coming up on GMA 3.
You're gonna love it. We'll see you then.
GMA 3, what you need to know. A third hour of GMA in the afternoon.
So join us, afternoons.
For everything you need to know.
I love
Give
that.
it to
Me
me.
too.
Nightline, the stories that shape your world, that shape your life. Dramatic, stunning, empowering, jaw-dropping. The most powerful stories of our time. Nightline, on right after Kimmel and streaming on Hulu. Now streaming on Hulu.
I'm a rock and roll star. I'm not a saint. I'm John Bon Jovi.
John Bon Jovi, the new special, what you have not yet seen. John Bon Jovi with Michael Strahan. Now streaming on Hulu.
And our next guest is an accomplished documentary filmmaker. His latest work, Hollywoodgate, explores the complexities and the impact of foreign military intervention in Afghanistan with an in-depth look at the people affected by the conflict and the ongoing challenges since the U.S. military withdrawal there. So let's take a look.
الحمد لله تغنيمات والله يسعدك وفروكي.
And that is the question right there. Ibrahim Nashat, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks a lot.
Wonderful to meet you. The access that you got for this documentary is astounding. So to be clear, you spent a year filming the Taliban.
I spent 7 months over the course of 1 year.
Over the course of 1 year filming, but with the Taliban embedded there. What was that process like of even getting that access? I can't imagine.
I relied on over a decade of journalism filming world leaders. And I really went in super early at the beginning when they just took power. And at that time, they were really seeking validation from journalists. So I came in, I asked for the access. I was granted the initial access. But the thing is, initial access was something, and staying for the very long time was something else. So the access by the time became like my rock, and I've become like the Sisyphus. I need to push it every single day to get a couple of days of shooting, and then it falls, and then it starts again from the beginning. And that's how it went through.
And then just kept building and building and building. I think people have preconceived notions of what a group like the Taliban is like. And I think a big focus of your documentary, and even the title of Hollywoodgate, is that these are very media-savvy people. And they're playing, I believe you've been referred to it as propaganda, and how they can use the media. How did you decide to focus on that, and what were some of the ways in which you watched them try to put on maybe a show for you?
The thing is, our movie is a movie about propaganda. And when you make a movie about propaganda, you're already taking a lot of its power. And the viewer gets to see clearly from the very first second what is Taliban trying to show and what is actually being shown without them wanting to show it.
Did you find that they would let their guard down or forget that you were recording?
They wouldn't forget that I was recording, but the thing is that I need to record, to spend so long with them that I wait for those specific moments when they forgot that I was recording. I spent 7 months, recorded over 220 hours of footage, waiting and waiting and waiting until the right moments comes. And this is the beauty of observational cinema, that the longer you stay, the more your story unfolds in front of you.
What, if anything, did you learn, and what surprised you on a large and small scale about the impact of foreign military intervention over the course of this year and the 7 months that you were filming?
Unfortunately, what I discovered is that the 20 years of war mentality has shown failure in Afghanistan. There were so many promises given to the Afghans in the first place and to the world that the intervention or the presence of the Americans and the NATO in Afghanistan is going to bring something good for the Afghans. But what did it bring? What did it bring? It brought the Taliban back in power. It gave them weapons, and it gave them ability to understand how to make Hollywood-style propaganda. And this really questions the origin of having to conduct such a war in the first place.
Do you think the Taliban have seen your documentary?
So far, I don't think they've seen it.
What do you think they would think of it?
I think there's something about the totalitarian regimes in general that whenever something bad happens, they don't talk about it. So in the film, there's like a quick scene where in the beginning they talk about saving medicines, and then near the end of the story, we discovered that they didn't save any of these medicines. And when this happened in front of me, I waited for 3 days waiting for them to talk about the medicines, but they never mentioned it. So I think that will be the reaction, is as if this movie never happened.
We'll never talk about it.
No.
Fascinating. But the movie did happen, and you can watch this documentary. Ibrahim, thank you so much for your time. You can watch Hollywoodgate in theaters now. Thanks so much.
Thanks a lot.
This week, Republicans rallied their base at the RNC in Wisconsin, a state which voted for Joe Biden by a very narrow margin of just 20,000 votes in 2020. But rural areas of the dairy state remain fully red, and those voters now have their sights on 2024. ABC's Kana Whitworth spoke with Wisconsin dairy farmers about the upcoming election and their economic challenges.
Whose message resonates right now with rural America? Any politician at any level, who is it?
I haven't heard it yet.
Haven't heard it yet.
I haven't heard it yet. Our politicians know how to get a hold of us, and our phone isn't ringing. If they want to understand our views and what we deal with, reach out to us.
So I'm the first person that's come out here to really talk about what's important
to you? For this election year, yes. Yeah. And we're just one farm in Wisconsin, but we're plugged in. We know what's going on, but yet we haven't seen anybody here.
Katie and Grant Grinstead are fourth-generation dairy producers, part of a long-standing and proud tradition in the dairy state that produces more than 25 million gallons annually and pumps $46 billion into the state economy.
Have you ever been more concerned about an election or more politically engaged in your lives than you are right now?
For me, I've never been more concerned today than I ever have.
Really?
You know, Katie and I have talked about this. This year we're going to be celebrating 20 years being married.
Congratulations. Thank you.
And so, you know, we've never had the conversations about the country well-being as what we're having today.
Katie and Grant are trying to stay afloat as the industry is shrinking. The economics of milk production no longer favor producers like Katie and Grant.
I would say just kind of low milk price has been our biggest hurdle that we've been dealing with the last year and a half.
If you look back for the last 30 years, we see similar prices in the 90s as what we do here today, you know, in 2024. The challenge is that everything else around us has gone up in price.
And while they grapple with the future of their farm and livelihood, Grant worries about the future of the country, specifically border security.
What's important with not only securing it, we have to have that door that I talked about, because America was built on immigration. We have to understand that people want to come to America. Let's let the right people in, and let's show them how to become an American citizen.
But it's really not just farmers. It's the hotel industries, it's the landscaping industries. There are so many industries in the U.S. that rely on migrant workers. So I think what's happened is everybody has just kind of put their heads in the sand because they know we need them, but they're not willing to champion it and stand up and lead it because it's so controversial.
And Katie is right. According to the Migration Policy Institute, immigrants make up 28% of agriculture workers in the United States and about 1/3 of hospitality workers. But Katie and Grant stay focused on policy and say they do sometimes split ticket vote, but say now more than ever, they need politicians who support rural America.
Do you feel like rural America has been forgotten about in this election? Well, I mean, 1% of the population as farmers, where 1% is feeding the world. Yeah. So I think sometimes we get forgotten because we do make up such a small percent, but we're also the percent that's feeding the world.
You would think that every American that sat down at any kind of meal would be considering what their agriculture community is doing for them.
Maybe we should stop making food. Would that get attention?
And next, you know, it's been brutally hot the last few weeks from coast to coast. And next, we want to focus on something that maybe we haven't fully realized or paid close attention to, and that is refrigeration, which has revolutionized the way that we store, transport, and consume food. And in her new book, Frostbite, How Refrigeration Changed Our Food, Our Planet, and Ourselves, New Yorker contributor and co-host of the award-winning podcast Gastropod, Nicola Twilley, traces the impact of refrigeration. She joins us now. Thanks so much for being here, Nicola.
Thanks for having me.
So I know that this is a subject that you have been focused on for quite some time. I think you gave a TED Talk on this going back a dozen years with a headline that if you understand refrigeration, you understand the world. So I guess what was the first thing that made you pay a heightened amount of attention to this topic?
Well, it all started when farm to table was first fashionable, which cast your mind way back more than a decade, and restaurants were all farm to table. People like Michael Pollan and Eric Schlosser were writing books about how our food was raised, and no one was talking about how it got to the table. So I decided, well, here's the missing piece. I'll go and investigate.
I think that to the unexamined person, refrigerators as a whole are pretty thought of pretty positively, of just the fact that they keep our food, quote unquote, fresh. Can you give us some examples beyond those, the obvious, of how refrigeration is changing the food that we consume and our lives as a whole?
Absolutely. I mean, just think 100 years ago, most Americans wouldn't have eaten a banana. Now it's the most popular fruit in the world. You can have, walk into the supermarket in December and you can have asparagus and you can have grapes. They come from Chile and they come from Peru. So all year round, permanent global summertime at the supermarket. Also the convenience. Imagine pre-washed, pre-harvested spinach, salad bags full of ready-to-eat salad. All of that is because of refrigeration. And not to mention affordable meat. That's one of its biggest contributions to how we eat.
That all sounds pretty good to me. What's the trade-off?
I'm glad you asked. There's always a cost, right? And that's one of the reasons I wrote this book, is because people haven't largely examined the cost. On the level of nutrients, the longer you refrigerate something, the more nutrients it loses. And we have bred for shelf life rather than nutrients. So our fruit and vegetables are less filled with vitamins now than the ones in the past. That's one example. A bigger downside is what it's done to our environment. All the power that is used for cooling, it's a huge, vast contribution to climate change. And that's before we even get to the chemicals that we use to refrigerate. They're called refrigerants, and they are the #1 thing we could tackle to mitigate climate change, according to Project Drawdown. So it's got a lot of downsides. They're just not usually talked about.
Given all of that, if a person wanted to scale back some of their dependence on refrigeration, aside from, building a gigantic garden in their backyard and completely unplugging from the grid, what would you recommend to maybe shrink the footprint a little bit?
Well, it's really a global problem, and that's where people are working on solutions. But for people at home, I really do have to say, just because it keeps food fresh for longer doesn't mean it's improving it. So you might put your bag of spinach in there and think when you eat it a week later, it looks fine. It's lost half the nutrients it had when you bought it. So don't stock up, don't stockpile. Eat the things that you buy when you buy them.
Nicola, thank you so much for joining us. Frostbite, How Refrigeration Changed Our Food, Our Planet, and Ourselves is now available to purchase wherever you get your books. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
And finally tonight, America's new giant pandas are getting ready to go public. We're getting our first look at the newest residents of the San Diego Zoo. 3-year-old Sin Bao and Yun Chu An, who is almost 5. The pair is the first to arrive from China in 21 years. They will make their official public debut on August 8th. Before we go, we do have an exciting announcement. ABC News Live will now have live weekend programming starting tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern, and every weekend, Gio Benitez, Whit Johnson, and Janae Norman will be providing the latest news, context, and analysis throughout the day, both Saturday and Sunday. You can find our news weekend shows and all of our new programming on Hulu, Roku, Pluto TV, the ABC News app, and of course on abcnews.com. That's our show for tonight. I'm Trevor Ault. The news never stops. Thanks so much for streaming with us, and have a great night.
There is a price to be paid.